Hello guys, Miss Hanley here, and we're going to continue our discussion on area, perimeter, and circumference. We're going to begin with a rectangle and a square. Now I put them both in the same group because they're very similar shapes, both quadrilaterals, and they work in the same way, except for with squares it's sometimes simpler and there are shortcuts you can take. So the one thing that we know about a square, remember, is that all four sides are congruent. And we'll call each side S for side. With a rectangle, we know that we have opposite sides congruent. One can be the width, and one can be the length, or you could use base and height, however you want to think about that. So for perimeter, let's find perimeter of a square first. Well, for a square, if all the sides are the same and you're adding them all up, you have 4 of the same sides. So your perimeter is just 4 times the side length, or S plus S plus S plus S. For a rectangle, your perimeter is a little bit different because not all your sides are the same, but rather we have 2 of the sides that have a width and 2 of the sides that have a length. So for my perimeter, I'm going to have twice the width plus twice the length, which is the same as saying W plus L plus L. Okay, so adding up all of your sides gives you the perimeter. Alright, and then next we have area for let's do a square first. Okay, well with a square, area is always length times width, but again in our case it happens to be the 2 same values, S times S, which we can simplify to S squared. So area of a square is just the side length to that power. And then for a rectangle, it's just length times width. So that's your area for a rectangle. Alright, so I'm not going to do an example with this because I think it's pretty straightforward, but if you're finding a perimeter, make sure you add all 4 sides. If you're finding the area, always length times width, and in the case of a square, those are the same values. Alright, now let's look at a rhombus, another quadrilateral, but it happens to be a little bit different here. For perimeter, you're doing the exact same thing you did above, and you're going to add all your sides together. Remember with a rhombus, again, all 4 sides are congruent, so if we call all of these sides B, your perimeter is just going to equal 4 times B. Okay, so it doesn't matter, you don't have right angles, the side lengths are still congruent. For the area, we sort of have to think about it as if we took and chopped off those 2 triangles on the sides, we have this middle rectangle, and then we have 2 triangles on the outsides that are going to make up one more rectangle. Okay, and so to find that out, to find the whole area, we're just going to do the base times the height. But if you remember when we looked at triangles, height isn't necessarily the slanted height. That's a different value that we'll need with surface area. We want height to be an altitude. So where I created that altitude, right there, that's going to be our height. Okay, which is again our altitude. So I need the base length, which is one of the sides, times the height, and you could use either height, either altitude, both of them would be the exact same value. Okay, so let's do an example here, and let's see. So if I draw back in my height, I'm going to say that one of my sides is equal to 10. I know they're all the same. I'm going to say this piece here is 6, and this angle is 30 degrees, so that makes this angle down here 60 degrees, okay? And I also know that if the entire length up top is 10, and down here this small portion is 6, then the portion to the left is just 4. If you remember in a 30, 60, 90, we can use the fact that we only have one side to actually find the other two. Your hypotenuse would be double that, so that side length would be, oh, never mind, that's not going to work. Sorry, I made up a poor choice of sides. Let's back it up here. Let's say that instead, sorry about that, this piece is 5, then I know that portion is 5, and because they have to add to 10, and over here we would say that the hypotenuse is 10, which is what we want because it's a rhombus. So your side across from 60 would be 5 radical 3, okay, and remember that piece right there, that altitude, is our height. So if you're finding perimeter, here we would just have 4 times 10, or 40 units. And if we're finding area, it's our base, which is 10, times our height, which would be 5 radical 3. So we would end up with 50 radical 3 units squared, and if you would like to, you can do that out to a decimal, but you don't have to. Okay? Sorry about my mess up there.